or false? No one wants to work anymore. This is a common refrain I've heard from business owners over the past 5 to 10 years, especially over the last 5. You may have even said it yourself. Owners and managers are always looking for help, especially in today's market, and many struggle to find and retain good help. And it is true. Employees have the absolute pick of the litter when it comes to their chosen jobs and careers, so they won't apply for, let alone stay at, a job that doesn't fit their values, desired lifestyle, or their life circumstances. Not only that, in the United States, we are generally sicker and die earlier than our other wealthy nation counterparts, and I believe our traditional work structures are contributing to that. So it's up to us, the employers, to change. We have to change how we hire and how we manage to keep our businesses running efficiently and profitably. We need to offer part-time positions that are paid full-time and offer greater flexibility and autonomy. For businesses struggling to find good workers, or to find employees, offering part-time positions will help you appeal to people who maybe only have a select hours to give to the career. I realize that certain businesses and industries and job types may not be able to accommodate this, or it will be harder for them too. But at the very least, if you take anything away from my talk today, I challenge you to question why 40 hours per week is full-time, why 20 hours per week is part-time, and why we're adhering to these frameworks set over 100 years ago. Our world, our work, and our culture are all vastly different than they were then. So hear me out for a few minutes. So here's a personal story that illustrates why I feel this shift is so crucial. When I first became a single mom, I decided I needed to get a real job. I had owned my own business for several years, but it suffered at the end of my marriage, and I yearned for some financial stability. A consistent known income, if you will. So I hired on at a company that I absolutely loved, and I still love and respect the work that they're doing. It's very important. And I committed to 30 hours per week. I still worked on my freelance business and on a second business that my sister and I had recently started, because I still needed to make more money than I was making in the real job to make ends meet. 2 years later, for a variety of reasons, some of which were admittedly my own failings, I was told I had to leave the company. My position was eliminated, but I could take a new position with the same responsibilities and pay at 40 hours per week because they needed more out of me. I initially accepted the position because I felt I had very few options at the time. I was living in a town of 2,000 people, and this was right before the pandemic, so there were hardly any remote options offered then. I immediately did not sleep enough, a foundational physical and psychological need, nor was I eating well. I skip meals when I'm stressed, or moving my body consistently. Every waking moment was filled with household duties, parenting my 2 small children, or working one of my 3 jobs. As a result, I was completely exhausted and in a state of utter survival mode. Within just a couple of weeks, I had an irregular heartbeat, which was something that I had happen when I overworked myself previously. And I was in a complete state of overwhelm and exhaustion. Not only that, I was mad. Because I had done it before, I knew I could make more money in fewer hours without the detriment to my mental and physical health. So I quit after only 3 months in the new position because I was unwilling to work 50 to 60 hours per week as a single mom with a child who actually needed some therapies in a town 40 miles away just to make ends meet. That experience and the experience I've had since have lit a fire under me to create opportunities for others like me. Fast forward to today, and I've helped build that company that my sister and I started to an annual revenue of over $1 million. All, thank you. All in part-time hours. Strong women cry too. All in part-time hours with a small team of part-time employees. I work on generally 20 to 25 hours per week. My teammates work 10 to 30. My employees, we're all earning incomes on par with our more full-time counterparts, while still being able to take care of ourselves and our families. And my employees constantly say how grateful they are to work for such an amazing company and how they never thought they'd be able to find something like this. If I can do it, I truly believe that you can too. So how do I think you should go about it? Well, first, create jobs with lower hour requirements, with some as 8 to 10 hours per week, maxing out at 32 hours per week. By creating these lower hour requirement jobs, you are going to appeal to people who have less time to work. But these people still might desire to work and earn an income for their families. Consider these statistics. Caregivers. 1 in 5 US adults identifies as a caregiver. 6 out of 10 of them report cutting work hours, taking leaves of absence, or receiving performance warnings as a result of being caregivers. And again, that's 53 million people. Single parents, like I said, I'm one of them, comprise 25 to 30% of US households with children under 18, comprising 8 to 12 million people, depending on the source that you look at. People with disabilities account for over 44 million people in the United States. And we cannot forget those who are primary parents in 2-parent households who aren't working at all or very little to take care of their households and their families, as well as retirees and those simply wanting a flexible lifestyle, which in my anecdotal experience, I think is one of the biggest shifts since the pandemic. People have realized they want flexibility and autonomy over their time and their lives. For example, a couple of years ago, when I put together the job description for a marketing coordinator and estimated the number of hours we needed the person to work, I came up with about 10. My sister and I discussed increasing the role to 20 hours per week, but because we thought, who in the heck would want to work only 10 hours per week? We didn't even get it then. But it was all we needed. And so we just decided to post a job and see what happened. And I am telling you, we were absolutely shocked. We had hundreds of applicants from all over the country, and the world for that matter, apply, and from incredibly high-level individuals. Mind you, this was a position that we felt was entry-level at the time. It was very rote, routine tasks. But we had applicants working as key marketing executives for Fortune 500 companies and large industry organizations apply. One had even written a book on marketing. It turns out that people are starving for jobs that allow them to provide value while being able to take care of their most important priorities. The woman we eventually hired was the one who had written the book on marketing. She and her husband had become parents to 4 children through foster care and adoption. Essentially overnight, you should hear the story, it's crazy, and they were ages 0, 5 months, 3, and 4. As you can imagine, that's a lot, right? So she immediately shut down her business and decided to focus on finding their new normal as a family. She still wanted, and in some ways needed, to work and earn an income for her family, but she didn't think she was going to fit anywhere until her kids were much older. Until, as a customer of ours, she got our "we're hiring" email and got so excited about the opportunity, she locked herself in the bathroom, texted her husband to take care of the kids and make sure everyone was safe and didn't die, and applied for the job. Over the past 2 years, she has helped grow our business exponentially, working 10 hours per week on average, around her family's life as well. So, you are going to appeal to these people. And breaking it out into if you're currently only offering traditional part-time and full-time positions, break them out into what I'm calling the smallest viable job. And the way you can do that and think about it, and the way I think about it, is if you have a job that has multiple responsibilities, which most jobs do, right? Like customer service, data entry, or reconciliation. Break each set of responsibilities out into a separate role and post it. I know you're kind of thinking like, I'm not sure I want to take the time to do that and hire them and train them for just 8 to 10 hours per week. But if that position is a great fit for that person, they're going to stay on with you for years to come, and it will be well worth the time it took to train them. Not only that, think about what you or the person being freed up from that time can do with extra 8 to 10 hours per week. I know I can get a lot done in that amount of time. Then, to help retain these employees, pay them on par with their more full-time counterparts and for the value they provide your company. So if somebody's working 30 to 32 hours per week, pay them on par with 40-hour per week rates. If somebody is working on average 15, pay them on par with 20-hour per week rates. Or simply for the value they provide your business. Don't worry about how much time it's taking them to do the job. What matters is the value they provide. Lastly, offer them more flexibility and autonomy than the typical 9-to-5 job. The first way, again, I do know that not every business or job type can do this, but I challenge you to think about how you might be able to in your business. Allow them to work 2 days per week from home. A landmark study published in Nature earlier this year showed increased employee satisfaction and a 33% reduction in quitting, especially among women and long commuters who implemented this type of hybrid work policy. And they experienced no losses in performance or promotion rates. That is pretty powerful. And then, in my opinion, let them work when it works for them. Have core hours if you need it, but otherwise, like 10 to 2, 9 to 3, otherwise, let them work when it works for them. At my company, we work around our kids' schedules, school and summer schedules. And I know you might be thinking, like, how exactly can I really trust this is going to work? But it is here where research proved my point. But also, I also want us to, as business owners, trust that our employees are adults and are going to do the job that they're said they're going to do, and giving them immediate feedback if they don't do it. So here's a graph from the European think tank Autonomy that shows the strong correlation between reduced working hours and productivity among wealthy nations. As you can see, all of the most productive nations are working the least amount of hours, and it's actually only improving, except for Norway. Not really sure what's happening with them, but everyone else is improving, most likely due to technologies. A review of 7 studies in 2022 showed increased employee satisfaction, better work-life balance, better sleep, reduced stress among employees who worked 30 to 32 hours per week on average. And a 2022 Gallup survey showed that pay and work-life balance matter the most when it comes to employee satisfaction. So if you're doing both very well, you're going to attract more people and retain them. So fellow business owners and managers, please join me in being leaders of what I feel is the employment revolution, not victims of it. You'll attract better help, retain them, and increase your profits, ultimately allowing you to achieve your personal and professional goals, and I believe positively impacting our culture at large. The businesses of the future are human, not cogs in an industrial machine. Thank you.